How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and my word, what a spectacular game we just had. Dragons versus the Sharks ended up 17-17, and to be fair, I do feel that the Dragons deserved that win. They really deserved that win, especially after that last ditch performance that they ended up putting out in that second half. My word, what a game. I want to break this game down. Please like, subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. And let's get into it. So, before I do start, any content that I do show here, I do not own. It is owned by the content creators. I'm just using under the fair trade laws, and I'm just using this for informational and educational purposes. So, yeah, because I do want to show some bits, but yeah, guys, what a game. If any of you guys have watched the Dragons and the Sharks game, it was phenomenal. It really was phenomenal. I mean, the Dragons actually managed to get some points. They were on what, an 18 winless streak in the URC, and my word, if they had to put more performances in like this, they probably would have that wouldn't be happening. They actually put in a very strong performance, and even after they ended up losing a play on the 72nd minute, they still managed to put so much pressure on the Sharks. But to be honest, the Sharks could have had this game sealed, signed, sealed, delivered. They could have had this game cut out, right? I do believe it was around the 76th minute. They had an option. They had an option to go for sticks. They had a penalty, decided to go for sticks. They went for a line out, ended up losing the ball, and then for the next couple minutes, up until that final whistle, the Dragons had the Sharks by the jewels. And my word, part of me actually wanted the Dragons to win there. After the Sharks were so sloppy, after the Sharks had so many opportunities to go in front, but they were stubborn and they wanted to go for a try, I wanted the Dragons to come through with a win. I think they deserved it. After, not even taking consideration the entire game, just that last 5 minutes of pressure that they had, and then just to fall short on the try line and have that ball go out as a knock-on. I was saying to myself in my head, if the Dragons get a try here, which I was so certain they would have deserved it. The Sharks were sloppy. The Sharks did not deserve a win. If anything, they're lucky that they ended up getting a 17-17. Now, don't get me wrong. The Sharks did actually play really well. And, they had good possession. But my word, it just the game should have been the game should have been out. The game should have been finished, well before. But they were so stubborn. They really were so stubborn. But yeah, Uri getting the scoring off on the 7th minute, and then Wainwright. I mean, Aaron Wainwright. He's just one of those players that I really do love. I mean, he plays well for Wales. He's doing his bits, and honestly, there were a couple Dragons players here that actually really impressed me. Like, I was like, wow, these guys are good. And yeah, they managed to put in. They really managed to put in a solid performance, although there was only one penalty. There was only one penalty goal on the 76th minute. Oh, sorry, on the 64th minute by De Beer, who happens to be South African, which ended up leveling at 17-17 before Coleman ended up getting a yellow. But yeah, that first half was really back and forth. Uri and then Wainwright, and then O'Brien comes in. Chituka comes through with another try. Just to finish off the the first half in the lead. And we had such good play. We were playing very well. The Dragons, they were just making so many mistakes. They were making so many mistakes, especially at the scrums. They were just time and time again, and the ref tells them keep the pressure on, and then ultimately they get a yellow card unnecessarily. It's just like, okay, what else do you want to know? What else do you need? Now, you could say that the ref was favorite, was had the Sharks as favorites, and I don't know what the word favoritism, and that he was just giving calls to the Sharks, but I don't know. I just feel so many mistakes were unnecessary. They really, really were unnecessary, and I mean, we look here, set plays. This kind of tells the entire story of the game. 5 scrums, 75% win line out. 75% win, 14 lineouts, 71%, 4 restarts, 100% won. Comparing to the Sharks, 15 scrums, 100%, 19 lineouts, 79%, 4 restarts, 100%. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. They were so strong today. They were so strong today when it came down to the scrums. They just could not handle that power. And I do believe that the Sharks were actually slightly lighter than the Dragons by something like 10 kilos, which in the grand scheme of things is not that much considering how much these players do weigh. That's literally just like one meal off of one of the forwards. But yeah, it was just one of those where the scrums were just so important in this game. They were just so important in this game, and I think I can kind of understand why the Sharks ended up going for lineouts, and instead of just going for the sticks, because they were very, very dominant. And I think if they wanted to have those points, they wanted to go for the try. But ultimately, when you are only a couple minutes away from the end of the game and you go for the corner instead of going for the sticks, come on, guys. Like, seriously. This game, from being a draw, it could have been a win. Hold off the Dragons like you have done the entire second half. Hold them off and make them work for it. But no, you leave it open. And they almost made the Sharks pay for it. And I was screaming at the TV because I was like, why are you being like this? Why are you... I'm trying to censor myself a little bit more than usual. So yeah, I found it so frustrating because we had the opportunities, but they just were not taking them. Time and time and time again, they just were not taking them. And I mean, you can see here, penalties conceded, 15 penalties comparing to the Sharks 8, 1 yellow card, tackles made, and this is a big stat for the Sharks. 133 tackles, 28 missed. 28. Yo, that is a lot. We are lucky that it's the Dragons and they were not able to capitalize on it. If we are to put in a performance like this up against Leinster, even their B or C team, we are going to struggle. We are really, really going to struggle. I tell you this now. So yeah, this should be an eye-opener for the Sharks. Yes, we did have some performances that we actually ended up doing pretty well. And we had some players that actually did, really well. But then again, so did the Dragons. Inisi at 11, he was a constant nightmare to everybody. He really, really was a constant nightmare to everybody. Dyer was scary as well. I mean, every time he touched that ball, he was making meters. Every time he touched that ball, something was happening. It was one of those performances where it's like, okay, yeah, you can definitely see how much talent that this guy has. Even Paya, I think it was Paya, he was absolutely brilliant. I mean, they really, really did have some good, good players out here that just put on a show. And yeah, it's just, personally, I would have had the Dragons to win for that second half. But what I will say is Tituka, definitely one for the future. Definitely one for the future. He's already part of the Springbok side. I'm so happy to be seeing him playing, getting more game time, and just, getting in those reps, because back end of the year, hopefully we get to see a bit more of him. I'm really, really hoping we get to see a lot more of Lorenzo Julius. You can see by the way he played today, he's got all the attributes that you could potentially want in a, in a player, in a 13, in a 12. The guy, he can play so many, so much, and he's got such a vast ability, scale for ability, that it's crazy that he's not part of the setup. But then again, same thing with Evan Ruiz. Evan Ruiz is barely touching that, he's barely touching that Springbok side. And then we take a look at Lorenzo Julius and the positions that he's playing in. I mean, you have Kanan Moody, who's playing absolutely amazing at 13, right? But even then, second, if you were to put Kanan Moody as number 1, you would have Jesse Creel as that number 2, or vice versa. So Lorenzo Julius is really going to be falling down the pecking order. And then, even then, you have Damien de Allende, which will normally tend to take that, that 12 spot. And if not, it's Andreas Dreesen. So he has a lot of talent in front of him, which is very unfortunate, because he himself, yes, he's still very young and he has a lot to prove. But, he needs to have more time. And I think if he is able to get more Springbok exposure, it will only help, make him better. Edward van der Merwe at 15 as well. He played well. So I was really, really happy to see him playing. Hendrikse, I just get annoyed with this guy. I really, really do. I don't know. Maybe it's me. But yeah, I just get annoyed with him. Edwin Swart, though, he came on the 71st minute, and they changed up their entire pack, and I thought they were so strong. Just obviously having that fresh player definitely does help. Because they had Dawson, Dlamini, and then Swart come on. They were just so destructive when it came down to when it came down to the scrums. It was scary. But like I said, there was some really, really good play here, like really, really good play, which I do want to break down a little bit, because let's see, where is that first try? Here we go. So the power that is needed to get here and to get over is ridiculous. Because don't forget, you do have 2 players just there defending that line. They are defending that line. So for him to be able to jump over and literally, he's literally over them. He is literally over them, trying everything that he could. And then, yeah, here. The quick ball, the absolute quick ball, phenomenal work. Absolutely phenomenal. Watch how this ball comes out. They ready, and now out. Boom. You don't. It's hard just to even kind of see that instant pass as soon as the ball comes out. So it comes out here, 1, and then here. There, straight in, little pump off and straight through. What a way for the Dragons to really start setting themselves straight. It was really, really fantastic. But again, the Sharks, they were just able to keep just enough on them before this little piece of magic ended up happening for the Dragons. Ball comes out, watch this play, straight through. Again, the power that was needed there. Watch. Out, playing their lines, beautiful. And now here. Fends off, sends him to another bloody universe, and straight in. Easy work. Easy work. Now, would this happen with a full-strength Shark squad? I don't think so. But it was just one of these where they just had that physicality. It was that physical dominance. I mean, we saw it with the rucks, we saw it with the scrums. Again, just that power, just that sheer physicality, just to push through. The Dragons really couldn't do anything, because even here, look, the ball comes out and it's just that strength, that to push through. They had so many players there that they just couldn't do anything about it, right? They just couldn't. Look at this. He's gone low, and there's literally nothing that you could have done about it. Literally nothing that they could have done about it. It was just one of these that, no matter what they tried. And then at the end here, let's see if they're going to show it. He ended up getting a yellow. But now watch this work. Watch, this right here, 84th minute, they are pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. The Sharks held a very, very strong defensive line. But, I mean, it was so unlucky that he ended up, that ball ended up going forward. I personally couldn't see it. Let's try and go through it again. Let's try to see where this could have gone. And the ref, he is on this far left side, right? Where is his line of sight? Because I see the player. Let's see if I can get anything on it. Okay. Ref is on this left-hand side. He's got his head tilted towards where the breakdown is. The ball is far left. You can see just by number 5, the ball is being grabbed, right? He twists. But how can the referee make a guaranteed decision here, considering you have all of these players here? You have hit the player with the ball who has twisted under now, what, 1, 2, potentially 3 Sharks players to see that ball has gone forward, and give without a doubt a decision that says that ball has gone forward. Maybe I didn't see something. The angles that I was watching at, I didn't exactly get the best views, and they don't exactly show the best views. So maybe the ref actually did have a good line of sight on it, but I can't see it. Maybe you guys can, maybe you guys could give me something to show why. Or maybe it was when he originally grabbed the ball. No. Even then, I don't know. I couldn't see it. I just couldn't see it. And that was just complete heartbreak. Complete heartbreak. And it's unfortunate because the Dragons, they were so close to getting themselves a win, finally. But hey, they crack on, start looking for another win. And yeah, hopefully they end up breaking this duck soon. But it was a draw, 17 apiece, and I was not impressed by the Sharks' attacking play. I was very impressed by that physicality in their set plays. And yes, we do have to take it with a pinch of salt. Yes, they don't have all of their players, and they're playing a lot of their their weaker side, but still, they should have done better. They could have come away with a win. They should have come away with a win, but they didn't. So decisions. But I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. So please like, subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye.